everybody, welcome back to my channel. For today's video I thought that we would do kind of a follow-up of one of my other videos that I recently had posted. It was the one on all of the makeup that I regret purchasing, and since that was pretty much just me shitting on a ton of makeup for like 25 minutes, I thought that I would do a slightly more positive version, and so this is going to be the top 10 makeup products that are just my absolute favorite. I purposely wanted to limit myself to 10 because I was worried that I would just keep going for forever because there's a lot of products that I really like. Interestingly enough, even though I didn't put any restraints on like if I had more than one makeup product in one particular category, it ended up being just pretty much one makeup product from each of the different types of categories like blush and bronzer and eyeshadow palettes and whatever else. Fun fact, the only ones where I didn't really have a favorite product were for setting spray and setting powder, and I think that's really for setting powder, no surprise there because I hate all setting powder. So, you know, really there will never be a favorite in that category. And then for the setting sprays, it's just really, I don't really know if any of them actually do anything. And so even though some of them smell kind of nice and it's refreshing to spray them on my face, I'm like, great, my face is moist now. That's about the extent to whether I think they do anything. But pretty much for everything else, there is something. And so I'm excited to share with you guys what my absolute favorite products are. Let's go ahead and jump in with number 10. So to start off, the first product that I was thinking of, and I did actually rank these according to like, of the top 10, like this is number 10 and then number 1 is absolutely my favorite. Hands down, of every product. I will always be happy to use that one. I'm not entirely sure why you felt the need to explain what a top 10 is to everybody, but glad we're all on the same page now. So first thing up is highlighter, and it's the ColourPop Super Shock highlighter. There we go. This one is in, the autofocus on this camera is literally the bane of my existence. Spellbound, and the particular color isn't really what matters to me. I just love the formula for all of the Super Shock highlighters that ColourPop sells. It's super soft and just really nice and reflective. Let me see if I can, there you go. You can see it's really, really beautiful how it shimmers on there, and it looks almost like it's a little bit wet, and that is how it feels, and so it just slides on your face really nice and easy, and so I just love them. And plus, I mean, you can't really beat the price that ColourPop sells their products at, so highly recommend literally any of the Super Shock highlighters. And they do also have Super Shock eyeshadow shades if you want to get those. I have to be honest, I have not really tested those out yet. I have a ton of single eyeshadows in my booklet. I think it's over here. This is the moment where my day drastically goes downhill. Oh no! If anyone actually wants to see what happened, one of my shades fell out into the crease. Oh well. But a ton of these are ColourPop shadows, and on the other side too, but I don't want to make more of a mess, so it's fine. I'll survive. Okay, let's just move on to the next one. Alright, number 9 is going to be an eyebrow product. I know I've mentioned this in a bunch of my other previous videos, but my absolute favorite is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. Looks like this. Has a little spoolie on the one end, and then a really nice, you can tell I've used it a lot. I have to scroll up pretty far. This is actually my second one already that I am almost through because I use it that much. It's absolutely my favorite. Really nice and defined without getting too thick on there, because there are definitely other brow products that I use where I end up with just angry brows. And so I really like this one. And mine is in the shade Blonde because I prefer to just fill it in rather than actually make them more defined. I'm just gonna spare you from having to listen to me talk about how shitty I am at brows. I think that's a pretty well solidified fact. Okay, number 8 is going to be a primer, and this particular primer I also use on my eyes as a eyeshadow primer as well. In case I haven't mentioned it before, my skin type that I have is combination. I have extremely oily around my nose and cheeks area as well as in the center of my forehead, but then along the outside edge of my face and then around the base of my chin, it's super dry. And so I usually end up having to mix primers, but I think the biggest thing that I do is I avoid putting primer on the outside edge of my face, and that seems to work somewhat well. And so I'll just focus on the areas where I'm oily. And for that, if you are someone that has monstrous sized pores like I do, where literally from a solid distance people can see your pores, then I would highly recommend the Urban Decay Optical Illusion face primer that they have. I don't know if you can see, sort of see that there's text on there. Maybe one day my camera will learn how to focus, but apparently unless I'm like talking to you like this, it fixates it fixates on literally anything but my face. But this literally, like, if you want pores be gone, I don't care about pores be gone, I just want my camera to focus on my face. This'll do it. I don't really know how much to say about it other than that it smooths out your skin so much. There are other pore perfecting primers that I have used, and I don't really see any difference when I use those besides when I just have like nothing on my face. This is the only one where noticeable, like literally I put it on like right here and then on my nose, and it is as if Jesus. It is as if my face has smoothed out to just perfection. So I highly recommend this guy. Number 7 is going to be a lip product, and I know that I've mentioned a bunch of the different shades from Buxom before. Really the entire line. I love Buxom products because they add like a little bit of color while keeping it mostly sheer, which I really like because I'm not huge on super bold lips. I prefer more of a nude shade, and I actually have one of the Buxom lip shades on right now, but it's different than my favorite one. This is my favorite right here. Here you go. And this is in the shade White Russian. It is super beige when you put it on, and so it almost makes my lips blend into the rest of my skin tone with just a tiny bit of gloss. And so since I do like to sometimes have a really strong eye, I like to have a very neutral lip, and so this'll do it. Wow, watching me try to get to a point during editing is super painful. Sorry, I'm so rambly. But I will say that for some people, if you don't like that kind of tingly, cooling feeling that some lip plumper lipsticks have, then I would not recommend this type of gloss to you, but I love it. Next up is a concealer, and for concealer it was actually a little bit tough for me because I have several that I like that work for me. I get super creasy on my under eye. I'm not sure if you can, let's see if it focuses, there we go. Like, I have definitely some lines that are starting to show up on there and get very wrinkly as the day goes on, and my outer corner is starting to show some of is starting to show some of the smile lines a little bit more. Granted, at 34 my skin's not terrible. I'm sure that it'll, you know, get progressively worse because stress. But for right now it's not terrible, but it is starting to get to where I can't just apply a shit ton of concealer to my under eye because it'll crack out and show the creases and look super cakey. And so I do have to be careful with the type of consistency that I use for concealer. And so some of the thicker types of concealer, like the Tarte Shape Tape, the Pat McGrath concealer and the Hourglass concealer are both a little bit thicker, and so I have to be very minimal when I'm using those. Versus with NARS, this is their Radiant concealer. I think you can see that. Mine is in the shade Light 2.5 Creme Brulee. It is super lightweight. You can barely feel it, and a little does go a long way, but I find that I can do a little bit more on there and it doesn't crease up at all. And so this is definitely one of my favorite ones. Another one that's really good is the wrong drawer. I'm just falling apart over here. The other one that is my second favorite concealer, I would say, is from L'Oreal. It's the Perfect Match concealer, and the primary reason why this is my second favorite, it's a very similar consistency to the NARS concealer. They're both very lightweight, and so I think that's that's why I like both of them, but the NARS would be my favorite out of the two. Okay, next up is going to be mascara, and I know for a fact that I've mentioned this mascara in previous videos. It is by far my favorite if you're wanting super impactful eyelashes without like clumping and without needing to apply tons and tons of layers, then this is the one to go to. It's the Grande Drama Intense Thickening Mascara. It does have castor oil, as it says on here, and so I don't know if that's something that some people might have an issue with. This is what the brush on the inside looks like. It is a thicker brush, and this is also the style of brush that I prefer for my mascara. It's a little bit upsetting it's starting to dry out, and so I can tell it's not gonna last me too much longer, which is very sad, and so I'm gonna have to get another one. Because it's absolutely my favorite. Just, if you're not a fan of having to wear false eyelashes, which I'm not, I cannot apply a false lash to save my life without it like being halfway up on my eyelid and just not put on properly. And so, I mean, probably also why I don't go with a winged liner very often, because I'm just not great at like lining things up, you know, whatever. But if you're wanting that false lash look without false lashes, this guy I would recommend. Okay, number 4 is going to be a blush product. It's from BH Cosmetics, and they had a bunch of different shades come out for this particular line. It's like their truffle line. Mine is the Vanilla Peach Truffle, and this is what it looks like on the inside. Come on, show the colors better. There we go. Okay. So you can see 2 very pink shades and then 2 more peachy apricot-y shades, which is pretty much the essence of what my favorite shades of blush are. I either go for a super pink or I go for a super peachy shade. Yeah, I'm not really sure what shade this is then, because it's not peachy, apricot-y, or pink. It's just flat out red. So I don't like really, really light pink. I prefer like a hot pink type shade, just because I've found that lately I like going with a little bit more of a bold shade, and so this one is absolutely my favorite because it has all 4 shades in there that I love, and the formula is pretty good. It blends out really nicely, so yeah, it's my favorite. Alright, we're getting into the top 3 now, so you know they're really good. Number 3 is going to be a bronzer. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Focus on it. Jeez. Okay. Mine is the light bronzer shade 6675. They did fix the container, so it does snap shut now. It has a light coconutty smell to it, so if you don't like fragrance, you might not like that, but just this, it does smell very strong within the container, but once it's on your face, it does dissipate fairly quickly. I love it. It's super blendable, easily my favorite bronzer out of everything. I will say that the NARS bronzer, that's their matte bronzer, is a close second, but still does not touch this one. And obviously the price for Physicians Formula is really, really decent, so highly recommend. Number 2 is definitely going to be a foundation, and I think we all know where this is going. It could only really be one of the 2 Fenty foundations because we know that those are my favorites. And I think even though I love full coverage matte foundations, I love how they make my skin look, the hydrating foundation, it's the Pro Filter Long Wear Foundation, come on. There you go. That's what the container looks like. Mine is in the shade 185 for anyone that's curious. Of all the foundations that I have, this is easily the one that I wear the most. Definitely if you're wanting a natural looking foundation and you have combination skin. Falco, down. Good boy. Ah, the joys of trying to film with 2 very bored dogs. I don't even remember what I was saying. Completely lost my train of thought there. But I love how natural it makes my skin look, and it's still really good coverage. And so, I mean, I really have no complaints whatsoever about this. It is my ride or die foundation and I will love it forever, and I will be devastated if they ever stop selling this because it fits my skin type so well. Doesn't get dry around the areas where my skin is already dry, and it really just kind of illuminates your skin. It makes you look really nice and bright and like you're alive, which for me is rare because my skin is very dull from never seeing the sun, and so love that. All right, we have reached the #1 out of all of my favorite beauty products, and it is an eyeshadow palette. I think there's no shock there. My absolute favorite is the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals. This is what it looks like on the inside. It is super beautiful, and I think the two main reasons why I absolutely love it are that #1, I got it when I was first starting out with figuring out makeup last fall, and for someone that is not like well versed in how to do eyeshadow looks, it has everything that you could ever want to experiment with in here, because it has matte shades, shimmers, metallics, and then the glitters, and so you can pretty much try out everything and really get to know it. None of the colors are so extreme to where even if you mess it up you have to worry, now I can't go outside. That's a very consistent and real fear of mine. Literally every time I put on makeup, it's the unknown question of, can I leave the house with this on? You're gonna get a beautiful look no matter what. All of the colors are really blendable, and so I have zero complaints about this palette. It is my favorite. I know that there were some issues that people were having with the amount of fallout, but let's be real, I have yet to come across an eyeshadow palette that doesn't have fallout. So that complaint for me is just kind of like, it's useless because all of my eyeshadow palettes do fall out. Some people were saying about the sequin shades that they weren't getting, like the sequin portion wasn't staying on there, so it was just like another matte. The trick that I found for that is to not tap off your brush. If you're going to use the sequin shades, for the mattes, absolutely tap off the excess, but for the sequins, just lightly go into the palette and then don't tap it off, and I mean, it maintains all of the little specks of shimmer that are in there. And so that would be my recommendation. Also, not being afraid to use your fingers, because I get all up in there like a 2-year-old with paint. So that is my absolute favorite product. It definitely had said on there that there were 2 points that I was going to be making, and I only ended up making 1 and then complaining about other people complaining about the palette. So let me just address that second point super quick here. The other reason why it's my favorite is that I can create a bajillion looks with that palette. It has all kinds of neutral shades if you're just wanting a nice natural look for the day, but it also has that really pretty stream of red on the side, as well as the really nice blacks and grays on the other end, and so you can create just pretty much a ton of different looks. And so anytime that I'm traveling, that's the palette that I take with me because it's the most versatile of all of my palettes. Yeah, so we've reached the end. I hope that that was interesting for you guys and that it was fun to see a little bit more positivity rather than just me bashing some more makeup brands, although I mean, that's always fun to do because there's many things that I could complain about, but I liked also talking about my absolute favorite products. All of these are affordable products. I don't think, I mean, I've got the NARS and the Anastasia Beverly Hills for 2 of the products, but both of them are still reasonably priced, and so I think it's kind of interesting that literally none of the products that I chose that are my favorites are luxury or high-end as far as their pricing goes. So kind of interesting, because I always used to think that I was someone that really went for luxury, and apparently not. So that just goes to show how great some of these less expensive brands have gotten. And so I would highly recommend that you guys go and check out some of the drugstore brands, some of the cheaper makeup brands, because their quality has drastically increased, even just in like the last 8 to 10 months that I've been looking at makeup. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. I would love that. Toss in some comments what your guys' favorite products are. Maybe I haven't checked them out yet, and that would give me something to try out. If you disagree with me, if you're like, I hate some of those products that you mentioned, by all means let me know and tell me why, and I'm sure that your reasoning will be better than mine, and so, you know, feel free to engage with me some more. And if you haven't subscribed but you like the content, please give me a subscribe. I would love to grow my community on here and get to know more of you guys and just shoot the shit about more makeup. But other than that, you guys just go have a good one.